Wally Kern and
Nanette.
Hope this sounds good. Hope the visual is okay. Let's get a thumbs up. Let's get somebody to say, hey, the audio is good. The video is good. Somebody tell us if everything looks okay. Otherwise, I'm just talking to the camera. I've done that before, and that's okay. Nanette's heard me ramble on. She's okay with that, I think. No? Nanette's not okay with that? Okay, somebody say everything looks okay. Everything sounds okay. Nanette's running YouTube over here, so she's kind of monitoring. She's going to be she's our control panel, so hopefully this goes well. And you're here. Why are you here? Because Stingers and Scales says everything looks good. You are here because this is going to be an Isopod question and answer. And I know there's plenty of places to ask your questions on Facebook, on Instagram, on Isopods. This is a no judgment, no silly questions. A question that you ask is a question that somebody else has asked before or thought about and been afraid to ask. And that's not why we're here. We're here to answer questions because you're curious or you're having a problem or something's going on that you have a question about Isopod. So I posted on Facebook and a couple of other social media platforms asking for questions. We got a bunch of questions. We have a bunch of questions sitting out there, and we're going to see if we can answer them all tonight. But if you have another question that you didn't, I see some names popping up, and I will get to that in just a second. But if you have a question, make sure that you ask that question in the chat area. Make sure that, what should they do for questions, Nanette?
All capital letters.
All capital letters. So if you have a question, put your question in capital letters. My chair sounds squeaky. I hope that that's not making too much noise. So I gave Nanette a pile of sticky notes because I forget things and I like to be organized. Even a live chat, I organize and I type things out and everything. So Nanette has this pile of sticky notes. Go ahead and read this first sticky note so we don't forget the first thing to do.
Oh, I just threw one out. It says, hi, say hi.
Say hi. Hi. So what does that mean? That means, why don't you read some of the names that have joined the chat, and we'll say hi to everybody.
Nicholas is there. Kelly's there.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Nicholas.
Pete is there.
Hi.
Stingers and Scales. Scott's Animal Adventures.
Scott, what time is it over there? You're in the UK, and it must be like, what time is it? So it's 6. It's a little bit after midnight, if I'm not mistaken. Who else has joined? I'm sorry.
Jennifer and V Berry is here.
V Berry, Veronica Berry. So I don't know if you can see. I'm going to move my head. I'm moving my head left, which is right on the screen. There's my new reptile setup, but right here, God, I tell you folks, this is impossible. This is a V Berry Creations right here, and if I could grab it and bring it forward for you. Do you want to grab it?
Oh,
I know we're tied into wires and everything here, but this is a V Berry Isopod creation. V Berry, if you want to put a link into where people can find your beautiful, beautiful artwork, please do so. Let's see if we can get a glare off of this. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Veronica is doing all kinds of different pieces like this. It's really super cool. Again, I'm going to put this on my computer, and it's going to probably shut everything down.
It'll fall down.
Hit a button somewhere over there. So, what was I going to say? So we're saying hi to everybody. Scott, Spicy Pizza, Jennifer Webb. I saw that before. It's amazing. It is amazing. That's crazy how much of a talent Veronica has. It's crazy having the ability to work with Veronica and being able to order an art piece from her.
Yeah.
So you have another note, Nanette.
How long keeping isopods?
How long keeping isopods? So that's a question from me to you, and it's a way for me to get you to type something into the chat. What I'd like everybody to do is tell me how long you've been creating, how long you've been keeping isopods. Is it a month? Is it no time at all? You're just thinking about getting into isopods? Is it 10 years? If anybody says over 5 years, I'm going to give you a golf clap for that one. That would be amazing. So in the comments, start typing, how long have you kept isopods? If it's months, great. If it's years, that's great too. So we'll watch for some of those. Kelly says 3 months. Scott says 1.5 years. That's quite a while. Jennifer, 8 months. That's quite a while too. We've got another question. Now we'll get to those questions.
I'm writing them down.
Oh my God. We're going to have a lot of them. Okay. Who else? 7 to 8 months for Sad Florence. I wish I knew all of these. Luna Eve, 81, a couple months. I wish I knew all of these IDs and who they are, because I'm sure that I've talked to a lot of these people. V-Berry, I obviously know, but Toilet Pete, just over 1 year now. Now, Jennifer, okay, AA says 1.5 years, on and off for a few years. Stinger and Scales. Charles says 9 months. I hope I didn't miss anybody there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. This is going to be a fun discussion, and I really hope that I get everybody's setups. I just read a question. I hope I get everybody's questions answered. I'm going to, before we hit some of the chat questions here, I'm going to jump over, hopefully, and I'm going to share a question that was asked on, I believe this was Facebook. Let's see if we can do this. Hope that looks okay. Okay, so Emily says, how many legs do isopods have? Anybody want to guess how many legs isopods have? Anyone? Bueller? Anybody know how many legs isopods have? And I'm not asking that because I don't know. I'm just curious if anybody who can be the first one to tell me how many legs isopods have. Oh, you know what that is? That's that.
Your glasses or something around here.
Something's on there. Here, take that.
What did you do?
I don't know. I'll shut it down. There we go. So do we have any answers
14, 10.
We've got all kinds of answers. Nothing yet. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have Toilet Pete with 14. Let's see if I can do this.
Lauren said 14. Kelly Blug said 14.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can get over here.
Says 3.
Okay. Anybody want to count the number of legs? I don't know. I'm going to shut that down if I can.
Can you guys hear the beeping?
I think I did cause a problem. So the number of legs is 14. 14 legs. Good job. Who said that? Toilet Pete said that.
Well, so did Sad Florence said it
first.
first.
Sorry about that.
Sad Florence said it first.
Sad Florence said it first. So 14.
Kelly changed her mind.
I love it. Okay, let's see if we can get the next
one. I can hear the beeping, whatever it is.
Okay, we're working on that frantically here. Let's see if that does it. Okay, so let's get another question up. Probably won't. Okay, so the next question is, hope everybody can see the questions. Will you ever be writing a book on isopod care? Oh my gosh. Nanette says no. Nanette says I'll never write a book on isopod care. So I've gone through stages in my life of keeping tropical fish. I've kept orchids. I've kept basically all kinds of different kids. Yeah, I could write a book on kids. It would be a comedy of, comedy of errors bestseller. So would I ever write a book on isopod care? No, I absolutely wouldn't, because I think that there's some great information out there already. I've thought about writing books on fish. I've thought about writing books on geckos, but there's just so much good information out there already on those two subjects. On isopods, I don't think I'm that type of a person. I get down to a certain level, and that's good enough for me. I enjoy the hobby so much, and I enjoy keeping the different isopods, but I enjoy, hi Andrew, I see DEA Exotics just joined. I think
write a book.
I can write a book on the kids and parenting and all of my mistakes there. But I think from an isopod standpoint, I think that there's great information out there, and I just don't know if I would be able to stop at a certain level and it would just consume all of my time. I enjoy doing videos. I enjoy keeping the animals. I enjoy the fish. I enjoy the geckos. I enjoy the isopods. And I think writing a book would just take me away from all that. It would just be crazy, crazy trying to keep up with that. The Complete Guide to Bringing Up Homo Sapien, called Crystal. Yeah, we could have a book on our granddaughter very easily on that one. V-Berry, write a book, Wally. I already read Isopod Zoology twice. I need a new read. Oh gosh, if I wrote a book, it would be more of my experience and some of the funny things that I've done. I've never dropped an Isopod setup, which is simply amazing, which means that tomorrow morning when we feed isopods, you have not dropped a setup. You dropped a whole setup? This is a first. I didn't realize that, folks. So you want to talk about what happened?
Now I just put it back in the container and put it on the shelf.
Holy cow. Was it one that I came up a couple of weeks later and said, oh my gosh, I lost all of my isopods?
No.
Okay.
They're actually breeding. No, I'm just kidding.
They probably are.
Drop one. I've dropped peanut beetles.
Oh my gosh.
And I dropped dubias recently.
Okay. I'm going to do it. You've dropped peanut beetles?
The whole container.
The whole container of peanut beetles. Okay. Did you individually pick them all up or did you just scoop them up? Did you vacuum? Did you just get the wet dry and scoop them up?
I swept them up back in the container.
Where's my pen and paper? I'm going to start writing some of this stuff down. This is great stuff.
This is all last month.
All right, let me jump over and we'll do one more question, then we'll hit some of the questions that came up in the chat. I hope this sounds good. Emily, what is your favorite isopod that is active? Hold on. What is your favorite isopod that is active in the enclosure, and what about your favorite that hides? That is a really, really tough question. My favorite that is active is absolutely positively, without any question about it. My favorite that is active on the surface is Porcellio or Natus yellow dot or south version. I think that they're just out all the time. It's probably one of my favorites because it's one of the first isopods that I got, probably in my first 10 isopods. And there's some sentimental reasons for that one being my favorite because that was one of the first ones I bred. But I think they're just active all the time. One of my favorites that is under the surface, I'm going to change directions a little bit, and my absolute favorite for subterrestrial isopods is Dwarf Whites. And everybody in the chat right now, everybody watching this, start scratching your heads and cursing me out because I said in a video recently that I don't like Dwarf Whites. But to be specific, I love Dwarf Whites for the intent that everybody keeps. A lot of people keep them in the initial intent of keeping them, and that was for a bioactive enclosure. So I love Dwarf Whites for that reason. I hate them because they teleport all over kingdom. So I'll be working with an isopod culture, and all of a sudden I see a Dwarf White in there. So I know that within a month or two there's going to be 100 Dwarf Whites, and within a little bit more time that Dwarf White colony will take over the whole enclosure. So I really don't like Dwarf Whites for that reason, because I think that they outcompete the other isopods in the enclosure. But separated out, I think they have a huge purpose in the bioactive environment.
I've never dropped fruit flies.
You never drop fruit flies. I've dropped almost a full 32-ounce cup of baby dubias on a carpeted floor once. And it was one of those things where I put it on a table and I took a step away, and then I came back. I turned back to see, because I thought that I had put it on the edge, and sure enough I hadn't. I could see it out of the corner of my eye tipping over and spilling onto the floor. So that dubia culture of, I think there was 13 million on the floor at that point. I had to take tubs and anything that bags of Zilla mix, jungle mix, and everything to quarantine this area on the floor. Now, somebody suggested just put a pantyhose on a wet dry vac and just vacuum them up like that. But I did it the hard way. I had to pick them up, with handfuls and then one at a time to get them out. That was nuts. That was nuts.
That's worse
Crazy.
than me.
Okay, we have, I'm sure, some questions, and I'll never ever be able to find them.
I wrote them down.
Okay, so what's a question we have from the chat?
Can I keep Isopads in an Exoterra 12-inch cube?
Like a 12 by 12. Absolutely. I have a few Exoterras that are 12 by 12 by 18, and I keep, again, Dwarf Whites. I keep zebras in one of them. I tried Hoffman Segai, but that didn't work. I think that Hoffman Segai need more attention, and they need a bigger enclosure, actually, for that purpose. But yeah, absolutely. And if the 12 by 12 is going to be an arid setup, you absolutely need some area that you can keep as a moist area, and you can cover it with a cork bark just so that they have an area that you can keep humid. Okay.
Little Crescent Geckos eat Isopods?
Yeah, absolutely. From proof of my Crescent Geckos, I've fed Crescent Geckos Florida Fast, powder blue, because at one point we just had so many powder blues and Florida Fast. So I was feeding those Crescent Geckos. Now, I will say, out of food choices that they have, mealworms, crickets, dubias, we feed the little ones peanut beetle larvae. Of all of those choices, I would say isopods are probably right on the bottom tier of all of those food choices. So I would say yes, but I would also say, yeah, there's better foods for them.
Would you ever use Taurus Mite predators in a Spanish Isopad bin? I have red mite thingies in my Bolivari.
Say that again.
Would you ever use Taurus Mite predators in a Spanish Isopad bin? I have red mite thingies in my Bolivari.
Isn't that a song? There wasn't a lady that had a spider insider, and then chasing the spider, the fly insider. Then she ate a spider, and then she ate a
Isopod.
Then she ate an isopod. I don't know. No, I wouldn't, because I don't want to keep chasing a problem. I've always been. This kind of goes back to my profession as a project manager, problem solver. Look for the root problem. If you have, I just did the video on mold. If you have mold, there's probably a few different things that you can do to fix that mold problem, but ultimately it's because either you don't have enough ventilation, or you're feeding too much, or the substrate is too moist. It's one of those three things. Fix the root problem. Always dive into what is your root problem.
Gastroid several months. He's had gastroid for several months, and they have not yet dropped any mankai. What gives? Depends.
It absolutely depends. So a lot of my questions, my answers might be it depends. So are the gastroids were they smaller when you bought them? Are you sure that you have males and females? So are they mature? Do you have males and females? Check out, I think I have a video on gastroid out there. Check out that video. Make sure that you have the moist area and a dry area. Are you losing any? If you're not losing anything, and you have mature and you have males and females, you should be getting mankai from that group. But 2 months, man, I've gone a year waiting for babies. I went a year until I got my Porcellio expanses to show any babies. And I tell you, to wait a whole year for babies. I see it all the time on Facebook. Hey, I just got some zebras. It's been a month or two and I don't have any babies. You just have to have some patience. Stop lifting up that cork bark every day and checking for babies. Let them be, and nature takes its course, and eventually you should have some. But again, make sure that you have mature adults. Make sure you have males and females. Make sure that you have a good quantity and you're keeping them the right way.
Okay, he came back and he said he thinks that his substrate had mites and that they are red things. Not sure what species and if they are harmful. or not. So
Hard to say, you know, depending on what type of mite that you have. What my suggestion would be is, especially with a high-end isopod like that, I'd start a new culture. I would start a new culture. Don't pull anything from the old culture. If you have another good culture of, let's say, something that doesn't look like those isopods, Hoffman Segai, or I don't know, Porcellio ornatus, high yellow, something like that that's different from them. Not dwarf whites. Don't use dwarf white cultures, but pull some of that culture from the existing culture, start your new culture, get those gas stories out of there and put them in. You might bring some mites with you, but you know, keep it dry, and hopefully that will, and throw that other culture out. Mites are bad. You prevent mites by keeping things a little bit drier and good ventilation.
okay, how do I prevent grain mites with your peanut beetles, and what wheat brand substrate?
Who said that?
DA Andrew.
Ah, I found it. You keep prevention is going all the way to the very beginning. Now, I've had mites, but in one culture of mealworms, and I tried to fix the problem by doing the diatomaceous earth underneath them, keeping them dry. They were over oatmeal, if I remember right, or wheat bran. But ultimately, I threw out that whole container because I couldn't get rid of those mites. But ultimately, it comes down to start with a good food source, wheat or oatmeal bran. And what you can do is you can actually nuke that food source for the peanut beetles if you want. Throw the peanuts, throw the wheat bran into a microwave, nuke it out for a minute or so. That should kill any mites if you're really, really, you know, concerned about the mites. But we keep our wheat in a very dry area. It's not around anything at all. So again, you know, knock on something. I've never had a mite problem, but if you do have a mite problem, again, I kind of went through it a little bit with the isopods. If you do, I would, you know, maybe start with a new culture and throw out the old culture. I know that sounds dramatic, but
how do you control fungus gnats?
Don't keep isopods. No, that's not a good answer. I know it. So fungus gnats come early on with new enclosures. You have, you know, new substrates. You have maybe a little bit too moist. Ultimately, as the enclosure seeds itself and the whole, you know, bioactive system cycles through, you won't have as many problems with gnats. I go downstairs and I have probably 120 or 130 enclosures, and we'll see a gnat once in a while, a fungus gnat once in a while, but I'll guarantee you, after your culture is established a little bit, you will see far and few fungus gnats. But you know, if you're starting out and you're seeing fungus gnats, the best way I can suggest is a couple of ways. Increase your ventilation, increase the airflow. Make sure that you have airflow, and that kind of drives the gnats away from the enclosures. Number two, put up sticky strips, you know, the fly strips. Number three, there's a lot of canister filter kind of things to control gnats online if you want to spend $30 or $40 for one of those.
Okay, I think that's all the
Okay.
questions I have.
I am going to jump.
Kelly got her Isopods.
If anybody asked a question, great, Kelly.
Yes.
I hope you like them.
Oh, what is the best Arid setup for Isopads? Best Arid setup for Isopads. Thinking about a bioactive setup, and Isopads haven't had them yet.
So I answered this question recently for leopard geckos, and actually Russ Wilson of Cubaris Pets just answered this in one of his videos. A great video. But what you want to do is you absolutely want to have a moist area, and you want to cover that moist area with something like cork bark, something to keep that sphagnum moss, and actually if you can do some kind of a soil under there, some kind of a dirt mix so that the isopods can dig down into the substrate. You don't want to just do all sand. You have to have an area that's specific to the isopods care, and that includes some sphagnum moss. So that would be my suggestion. Maybe I'll do a video too, but again, Russ just did a great video on this recently. So go to Cubaris Pets. and look up Arid Isopods. I think.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, I'm going to jump. If you have another question, I think we might have missed a couple. Sad Florence says that he or she built up. I built my own version of a catchy today with a duct tape fan attached to it. Huh?
What is a catchy?
A catchy is one of those devices. I think they sell them on Amazon for about $35 to $40. And it actually has an airflow, a fan, and it draws in the gnats and sticky tape in there. And so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Or get a catchy, yes. Jennifer says get a catchy. So Jennifer's saying that she wants a catchy for her birthday present, I think.
She's giving them for.
Oh, you're giving one. Whoa.
That's what she said.
Okay.
I'm giving those as birthday gifts now.
Oh, my address. I'll send you my address after the show. Okay, let's see if I can get back over here. Okay.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Do you recommend vents in every isopod enclosure? So this is a great question for everybody. So I'm going to ask the question I'm going to ask the question, does everybody think that they should have ventilation in all of their isopod enclosures? I'll give you 5 seconds. Say yes or no. Jennifer says my birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday. Somebody got one of those catchies for Prime Days. That's pretty cool. So what's everybody saying?
Yes, so far I got
Yes.
one yes.
Ventilation, yes. Yes. Toilet Pete says yes. Anybody else?
Yes, I don't vent my dwarf whites.
So Kelly's, and this is kind of a trick question. So anybody,
Yes.
everybody's saying
Okay,
yes.
yes.
And I thought about this before
Depends
the
on
show.
vents.
It depends.
Well, you don't
I'm
want-
going to just use
you
that.
don't want a big
It depends.
hole.
What's that?
You don't want a big hole in your
Well, you don't want a super big, so you don't want a vent that allows the isopods to crawl out and teleport to your other isopod enclosures or your kitchen area or your family room area and take over your family room.
They would be teleporting then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would say that they teleport, even though that they
Except
there's
super tropical isopods.
except super tropical isopods. What is that? Shane? Shane.
That is shame.
That is a great answer. Kelly says she doesn't dwarf her vents. She doesn't dwarf white her vents. She doesn't vent her.
Coke there.
Yeah, what's in the Diet Coke? So Kelly says I don't vent my dwarf whites, and I thought of the same thing. I have some cultures of dwarf whites. I also have some cultures of dwarf grays. I don't really vent them. I open them at least once a week. If you do vent something like that, the best thing that you can do is actually cut a hole in the top, make it like a $50 silver dollar size, and nobody knows what a $50 size is anymore. Nobody carries a $50 coin in their pockets. But make a hole, about that big, about an inch and a half, and then just take some pillow fill, some pillow cushion, any spongy thing, and put in that hole, and you're done. You don't have to do the, hot glue, chiffon mix. Just put a hole, put the foam cushion, cut out in there, and you're good to go.
V. Berry just got a 10-gallon tank for Seth's future Hoffs.
Wow, nice, very nice. So you know that a 10-gallon isn't big enough for the Hoffs. You put 2 Hoffman Segai in there, and they'll just take over that 10-gallon. I'm kidding. I wish I would have brought up some Hoffman Segai because they're super big and they're just so fun.
Luna has silver dollars or half dollars and dollar coins because the Tooth Fairy brings them.
Oh, nice! That's what a fantastic gift. Okay. Let's get another question. Anybody else have a question from our chat area?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to jump over and I'm going to across species of isopods. What is the longest lifetime?
Ooh.
So I'm going to see if I can hide this real quick. Okay, so I'm actually going to see if I can do this. Yeah, I'm going to keep pushing buttons. I'm going to lose everybody. So what's the longest? I just lost my fish room. Let me get that light set here. But the longest lifespan, so you can think of anything even not invertebrates, the larger, generally, the larger the animal is, the longer the lifespan. So if I apply that to isopods, so isopods are actually, obviously smaller than other creatures, smaller, shorter lifespan. But in the isopod world, we're looking at isopods being anywhere from a year to 2, average 2 to 3. But isopods can live up to 5 years. Now, what are those isopods that can live up to 5 years? I don't know specifically, but I would assume that it would be the larger isopods like the giant Hoffman sagi, the Magnificus. Expansus live, at least in my enclosures, about 3 months. So they're not one of the longest lived. So I think that the larger isopods are the ones that will probably live a little bit longer.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm touching buttons. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I thought there was a question, that's why I asked what you were doing, but maybe not. Yeah, right there, the bottom one.
Can I get that? Okay, this is from Ocean Dizzle. Oh, here's a good one. Does anyone have any different isopods that have bred together? I'm thinking what you mean is like a Hoffman sagi and a dwarf white, or that would be a bad one. That would be an interesting one. Or better yet, something like a zebra and a clown isopod. And I think that there's been a lot of studies on this and a lot of experiments or a lot of test scenarios on this by hobbyists. I know I've worked with a few myself here at Supreme Isopods, but I'm going to show this too before I lose it. They don't breed together. They're different species don't breed together, and actually even sometimes color morphs will breed together, but sometimes color morphs don't breed together. A great example is dairy cows and the orange lavis. They just don't breed together at all. So breeding isopods together is a no. Okay.
Somebody just named your breeding Dwarfmans.
I like that. Dwarfmans. So it would be, wow, can you imagine an isopod the size of an Hoffman sagi, all white, that gets into everything. Okay. I can't even pronounce Jasemium. I'm great with names, aren't I? Jasemian. Jasemian says our size of the holes important if we have many holes, assuming I don't use vents. Holes. So you're putting holes in. My only thing there is if you're putting holes in and you're not screening off those holes, you're going to get any kind of creatures in there like fungus gnats or potentially mites or some other creature coming into there. Fruit flies is a good or bad example. But if you don't have screen over those holes, you're going to get something coming in, and you're probably going to get those isopods coming out. There's a couple of scenarios where the isopods can get out. Number one, babies seem to, at least in my experience, babies seem to climb a little bit better than the adults. Mm-hmm. If you have a leaf and the stem is across one of those holes, the isopods will get out. There's just so many, if you wet the enclosure down, if you missed it and the sides get, damp, isopods will get out. So my strong suggestion is if you have holes in your enclosures, make absolutely sure that you put some kind of a screening on them. And there's a couple of people in the isopod business. I just had a video on one of them where they're making the plastic screens, and you can separate them out into 2 pieces and put the one piece in, like people can understand this. Here's the side of the tub. You put the one piece in, and then you put a screen like a chiffon or window door screening in, and then the other piece snaps into the first piece so that you have this plastic bigger hole, but also the chiffon or whatever screening in the middle that will stop the isopods from getting out and something coming in. But you're saying, getting back to your question, I'm rambling again. Our size of hole is important if we have many holes. If you have many holes, the size, it really doesn't matter. I know I have some tubs that I had, I think for mealworms, that have 20 million holes on top because I just kept drilling, and there's probably more holes than there is plastic on top. So great ventilation. So what I always tell people is the more ventilation, the better, as long as you can control the humidity. I hope that helps.
Stop rambling.
Who says that says stop? It does not say stop rambling. Okay.
Are you going to address that dark enclosures versus clear enclosures for fragiles like Porcellio expansus?
I know who that's from, and my answer is, oh, heck no.
Do you think it'll give better productivity?
I'll get there. I'm doing these actually in alphabetical order. I realized that when I put this list together. So anybody's name that starts with a V, you're going to be last. Sorry about that. Okay. Joke buffer.
This
sorry.
is a question in here. It's not.
It's in my list too. It is too.
Oh.
She's asking twice.
Oh, okay. Because you didn't answer it the first time.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is from Joke Buffer. This is actually from Frank the Tank, who I think is with his family tonight. And I said the family is way more important than talking isopods. We can talk isopods anytime. Anyways, Scott says I'm falling asleep. Yeah, because it's like 3 a.m. there. Okay, Joke Buffer says, what is the worst isopod to keep? Didn't we ever already cover that? It's got to be Dwarf Whites. It really has to be Dwarf Whites. I can't think of another one, but it's also the best one if you just have bioactive enclosures and they're separated by, like houses away from your other isopods. They're the best. Good night, Scott. I'm joking. I love to joke around.
Okay.
Okay. Veronica Viberi is actually, if I'm not mistaken, you're traveling through the Poconos right now. Wow.
Oh, and she's losing connection.
Okay. I'm going to work through these other questions as quickly as possible. You know what? I'll come back to that because Veronica. Okay, so bear with me, folks. I'll go backwards from this point on.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
Yeah, I go sideways sometimes. Okay, so Veronica, this question is the fragiles like Porcellio expansus, Porcellio warneri. Call them the Spanish isopods, the giant Spanish isopods. Do you recommend a non-see-through enclosure? I hope everybody can see that. I don't know if I can do a better display. There we go. Do I recommend a non-see-through? I don't really think it matters that much. I mean, think of nature. Whenever you're working with animals, whenever you're working with geckos, whenever you're working with isopods, think of nature. Think of how things work in nature. They're going to get some exposure to light. Most of these animals are going to get some exposure to light. If you're in a cave, unless they're deep down in a cave, some of these isopods, they're going to get some exposure to light. They just are. So my suggestion would be, go ahead and use the enclosures that you're using. I don't think that matters. And what I want to follow up with this, because I thought about this question a lot, Veronica, this is a great question. What I would suggest to everybody is, and this is so important because it's a lesson learned that, in my life, if you're having a problem or if you're even starting out, don't follow every piece of advice out there, and I'm not saying that there's not good advice and there's bad advice, and it's easy for people to pick up bad advice, hopefully, but there might be good advice, but there might be 2 or 3 pieces of advice that are both good, but you can't follow both of them. What I'm trying to say here is that don't change just because you want to change it because somebody else says that you have to change, unless you know absolutely that you're doing something wrong, and changing it will offer more benefits than cause issues. I'm not a big opponent or proponent for change for the sake of change. And Veronica, I'm not picking you on you at all because I do the same thing. Oh my gosh, I want the fish to breed and I know all the basics and everything. I have them set up right, but somebody said throw in olive leaves into the water to add tannins into the water. I see Jason in the house. You had to say that. So if everything seems to be right and the animals are doing okay, unless you want to take that next step in a gradual, step, don't follow every single piece of advice out there, especially if it's going to change everything around, especially if you're having success. If you send me a picture of your enclosure and I say it doesn't have enough ventilation and you're you're having success and you're breeding animals, don't change because I said it. Now, if you ask 3 or 4 people and they all say, "Oh my gosh, this is all wrong," and you are having problems, then consider that and maybe make a change.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, we have. Is
Oh.
humidity equaling hydration for isopods? Are they able to drink enough if they don't have very wet areas, but the humidity is high, 85%?
Nope. Isopods have to have some moist area, and you can actually see them. Grab my soda. I'm going to put it down now, because this is kind of a key question. This is a great question. You'll see them actually go over to the sphagnum moss or a moist area, even if it's substrate for some of the giant Spanish that require the really dry area, and you'll see their butts. You'll see their butts going up and down. Well, that's not, they're not dancing to dubstep or anything like that. Their butts are going up and down. Look it up, Google it. Their butts are going up and down because it's a line from Deadpool. So their butts are going up. Their butts are going up and down because they're drinking. That they're gaining, hydration from actually drinking and breathing. So you do absolutely have to have a moist area somewhere in your enclosure.
Good. All that to say that.
I know. Yes. So the answer is yes. You need some moist area. Here's a really good comment, and then I'll get back over to our Facebook social media things. Andrew Vanderhop, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Vanderhoop. I have seen Moroccans in particular be very sensitive to humidity while still wanting a good amount of wetness on a portion. Sorry, it's small. I can't read it. So this is a great point. We don't know everything about isopods. And I wish there was a way that, all of us could get together and say, I'm keeping my isopod. Here's the conditions in my house. Here's how I'm keeping the isopods. Let's compare notes and see who's keeping them, not keeping them the best, but having the best results. And then let's kind of migrate toward that method. But that's hard. It's really hard to do. Chris, the Mad Aquarius Biggs, made this comment that in one of his videos, great channel if you haven't been there, Chris the Mad Aquarius Biggs said, let's try different things. Even though it's mentioned time and time again on social media to do it one way, doesn't mean that we all have to do it that way. I think his comments stem from one of my comments about Porcellio warneri, keeping them in a tall enclosure, moist, lots of moist area, not a lot of ventilation, and it was just one of those, I've got to set them up, quarantine them for a week, and then I'll move them somewhere else. Well, it turned out to be a lot of weeks, and I had babies all over the place. Just because it says to do it one thing doesn't mean that is the absolute way to do things. So kind of keep an open mind, because some species are very different. That wasn't rambling, was it?
No, that was a little clearer.
Veronica, absolutely. That's why we're here. And these are great questions. Any other questions, or should I go backwards?
No, okay. I had, what's the most prolific?
Prolific. Oh, isopod. I didn't know. Most prolific isopods. Anyone want to guess at that? So for your isopods, who are you having the most success with? I know the one that I would say, but I don't want to just, blurt it out here. What's the one isopod that you're really having a ton of success for? Jason, which isopod are you having the most success with in your collection?
And while they're answering that, somebody wants to know what's a good beginner one, because he just has Dwarf Whites.
If someone would just create a video saying something like the 5 best beginner isopods. I'm joking. I actually created a video a while back. Nanette's calling me names over here. I created a video about a year ago or so about the 5 best isopods to begin with. And I think it caused a lot of controversy that I didn't include zebras or clowns in there. But anyways, my number one would be wild caught. Go out and catch some in nature, some isopods in nature, and keep them and start understanding how to keep them and come back to the groups and ask questions. So that's my number one. Other than that, I think I've gravitated to the orange koi, or one of my favorite common isopods that you can get all over the place. So which ones breed the most?
Dairy cows, dwarf whites, Scalar lavis, and powder blues.
They're all over the place here.
Andrew Vanderhoop says his, and I say this wrong every time, but the parakeet are completely explosive. They grow in numbers rapidly, and now looks like pebbles when I lift up the leaves in some spots.
So here, I'm going to say they are one of the most prolific species I have as well. I mean, they just went nuts on me, just absolutely nuts. I have 2 bins actually, and they're just exploding in both bins. Why do I have 2 bins? I have no idea. But anyways, they're just going crazy, crazy, crazy.
What's the prettiest?
What's the prettiest? That's not that question. But anyways, what's the prettiest? The prettiest is you. I did some videos on the king of isopods. No, that's not going to answer. Okay, the prettiest, I think the prettiest are, excuse me, folks, V-Berry Creations. V-Berry Creations. The prettiest are I think the prettiest are the clowns. It's a tough one because I could also throw in there the Expansus, the Bolivari. I love the yellow and the Bolivari. Magnificus are just incredible with the orange, but I think the prettiest, if you took the pearls are really cool, the albinos are all cool. If you took any of them and said, if you started the hobby right now with all these other isopods and clowns were introduced and they were very limited, people would flip out over clowns, I think. It's just that they're kind of common in the hobby, so they're not way up there on the attention scale. Okay, I just missed it. Oh, let me see if I can get it. Okay, Shane says, I see online you can use only some types of leaves in there. Any truth to that? What a great question. Then I'm going to get back to our Facebook questions real quick here, but that's a great question. These are all great questions. But anyways, leaves. Everybody says use hardwood leaves. I say it, I've said it for a long time. Use oak, use maple, use hardwood leaves. And what I do is I take the leaves, I try to crumble them up so that it starts the whole decomposition process. And you absolutely want to take them and distribute them in your substrate as well to speed up that process. But I've always said use hardwood because I can put a handful into our giant canyons, and within a couple of weeks they're gone. I wonder what they're eating. They're eating the leaves. That's what they do. So crumble them up, put them in. Now, there's another thought that don't stop using hardwood leaves, but also use some of the harder leaves. I've used hard leaves, and when I say leaves, I'm talking like magnolia, and I'm trying to think of some other leaves maybe people can add in the comments, but the bigger leaves that are firmer. I've used them and I haven't had success with them because that's the only choice that I gave the isopods. It just didn't work at all. My suggestion is use hardwood leaves because the isopods will go through there, and if they do eat too many leaves too quickly and you can't catch up to them, like our giant canyons, they'll start tearing into the magnolia leaves as well. So it doesn't hurt to have a lot of hardwood and maybe a couple of magnolia leaves in there as well.
Make sure they're not treated, though. The trees haven't been sprayed when you collect, if you collect or anything.
I said that earlier.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. Make sure anything that you're bringing in from the outside is treated. Make sure anything that you're bringing in from the outside is not treated.
What do you feel about almond leaves?
I think that's another option, but I absolutely would have hardwood leaves in an isopod enclosure as well. I've not used almond leaves actually, so I guess I shouldn't really say I mix grape. Jennifer's saying I mix grape, magnolia, and oak. Right on. Interesting that my local breeders here don't use leaf litter at all for their isopods. Tropical mix. Even though I heard leaf litter is critical. Leaf litter is absolutely critical. Absolutely. I can't stress that enough. We've got to do a giveaway real quick here too.
We've got question or comments here too.
Okay.
So stop rambling.
Stop rambling. So on the back of my Supreme Isopod shell, blatant ad right there. On the back of there, I say leaf litter and decaying wood should absolutely be used in every setup, and that's the most important thing. And you can supplement their diets with other foods. So, okay, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to get back to our social media stuff here. I'm going to work backwards. Okay, Shelly says, did you get sick from eating that moldy sandwich? Anybody see the video I did about mold and isopod enclosures? No, that was a sandwich that Nanette had. The bread had sat there and started molding up, and it was green. It was gross. I ate it and I got sick. I was throwing up for days, and I didn't get out of bed for like 2 days from that. I blame it all on Nanette. This is live, isn't it?
It is live. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, I
You will
didn't.
get sick soon.
Wow, this is live. So she has blatantly threatened my life here
I did
on.
not threaten your life. I said you will get sick. I did not threaten your life.
Stingers and Scales says mold adds flavor. No, I didn't get sick. And anybody want to guess on actually what that mold was? If you've seen the video, if you haven't, I like to throw in things like that. If you haven't seen the peanut beetle, my very first peanut beetle, go there and watch that, because that's one of those gross master kind of videos, and that was a lot of fun to do. Anybody want to guess what that mold actually was instead of it being mold? Am I giving away secrets here? I don't know. Okay. While you're putting in the comments what you think that mold was, I'm going to jump over and see if we can get this next question. I think we just have a couple left, and then we're going to do a giveaway. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.
Changes, new features.
Okay, Kool-Aid. Ooh, no, it's not Kool-Aid.
Good guess, though.
Good guess.
Food coloring.
Keep that food coloring. Green food coloring. Stingers and Scales nailed it. You get 10 points. You don't get any more tickets in the giveaway. Sorry, but you do get 10 points, so you have that going for you.
His mouth was green for a few days.
No, it wasn't. Was it? I had a big
Will be
meeting.
next time.
Yeah. Okay, so this question is, I'm going to read it because it's kind of small. This is a good question. How can you prevent mold if you have no springtails or no viable way of getting them? I hear charcoal can help, but to what extent, and how would one go about using it to do so? Okay, so you have mold, again, ventilation, less wet area, make it drier, and take your food out. Mold is I think mold is a big problem. You don't want mold. Add springtails. You're saying you don't have springtails. Get springtails. They're all over the place. If you don't have springtails, contact me and we'll work things out. If you can't find springtails on the internet, if I can't find somebody that has them, if I can't find somebody that has them right now to sell for almost nothing, for almost the price of shipping, let me know and I'll send you some springtails. There you go. Springtails are essential. I think springtails are essential in isopod enclosures to keep that balance, to keep that seeding of the whole enclosure, to keep that bioactiveness going. Okay, I think I've got one more question. Okay, Megan says, do Hoffman Segi get darker as they age? I've noticed a few of my younger ones with a brown caramel color, while others are a dark gray. I actually think that Hoffman Segi, and I have culture after culture of Hoffman Segi because they do real well here at Supreme Gecko, but I think that they sometimes will gray out instead of staying a dark gray. I think sometimes, oops, I almost dropped the mic. Hope that sounded good to everybody. So I think Hoffman Segi will actually lighten up and kind of turn that chocolatey color, some of them, as they grow older. I've tried to figure it out. I just don't think there's any consistency at all. Hi, Jerome. How are you doing? Okay, let me go back to our questions. Trying to hit them and quit them here. Kelly says, have you ever imported isopods? If so, how expensive is it? If not, why not? Is it because of the expense? I keep seeing all of these Korean isopods, and they're so beautiful. They are unbelievably beautiful. Some of these isopods are the spiky isopods, which you can't import, obviously, but some of these isopods coming in from Indonesia are just unbelievable. So have I ever imported isopods? I can neither confirm nor deny the fact that I have imported any isopods. And even if I did, I really wouldn't say, and I'm not saying at all to hide anything. I don't want to get myself into trouble. And I don't think, if I knew somebody that did import from overseas and didn't go through all the permits and everything, I would hope that they learned their lesson and fix that real quick. They're super expensive, but you can get deals if you import. The problem is that the shipping and the time and the expense and the time and the trouble and the worry and the time, everything adds up to getting in isopods that you hope have survived the trip, and you hope that they do well. And my gosh, if you're going to bring in dairy cows, are going to be fine. But if you bring in Vietnamese, oh my gosh, and you lose them, oof, terrible, terrible. So I highly recommend to people not to import without more knowledge and understanding of what you're doing with importing isopods. Certainly have all the permits that you need. That's all of our questions, unless we have questions in the chat. If we don't, I do. If you still have a question, add the question. DEA Exotics, food coloring, right on. A couple of big changes I want to make real quick in July. Are we in July yet? Yeah. In July, doggone it, because I thought I had some time. In July, I have two big changes to the Supreme Gecko YouTube channel. I've thought a lot. And when I think of something like this, it keeps me up late at night thinking about what to do with. We have a Gecko channel. We have a channel that shares both Gecko and Isopod information. And if anybody has any thoughts on should we separate that into two channels, I don't know. I see benefits and advantages and disadvantages to doing that, and I still haven't made up my mind if I'm going to do that in the future. Right now, we're going to keep them together, but I am going to create a fish channel, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And the second big announcement is that we are going to have another feature of the Supreme Gecko channel for members. And when I say, and I'm not going to take a lot of time here, it's not about the money. It's not about trying to get more funds here, because everything that I get in, I give out anyways in the giveaways that we do. It's all about trying to provide more information and a different kind of audience for our members. And it's going to be something I hope that is special, and we'll have a small group of people that will really, hopefully, partake in this community from a membership standpoint. And that's all I'm going to say right now. We're going to have a big announcement in probably a week or two on the whole membership thing. But it's going to be different than everybody else's membership. I can guarantee that.
And you'll be up late at night for the next 3 weeks until it's done.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Okay, so that's our two big changes. What's next?
Do you think somebody's selling rubber duckies for $50 is a scam? That's a hard one.
I'm going to cover this, and then we're going to jump right. I know it's running kind of late here. I'm going to cover this, and then we're going to jump over to our giveaway. I think that's our giveaway is next here. I want to announce a winner. Is that a scam? I
didn't know to announce a winner.
Yeah, I didn't want to forget. We had somebody that said, don't separate them, keep the isopods and geckos. I think there's benefits to doing that. Thank you very much, Ocean Dizzle 7, for saying that. I really appreciate that. Show this. Okay, I think that's a scam, but they are expensive. Just Bugs. Can I get up there? Do you think somebody? So here's my thought. I've gotten lots of responses from people. And I tell you, I get comments all the time. I get at least 20 questions a day from Isopod Gecko people, and way more comments than that from people. And I tell you, I can't count on two hands the number of comments I've received this last month from people who have said, hey, I ordered Isopods off of eBay. Go to reputable breeders. Go to breeders that you know. Go to Facebook and ask and look up breeders. Make sure that they're reputable. Don't buy from eBay if you don't know the breeder or somebody can't vouch for that breeder. Don't do it. Low counts. They're all dead. They're not the same ones. They're mixed with others. I'm telling you, I've had at least a dozen messages about eBay purchases of Isopods. That's what I'm seeing. So there's great breeders on eBay. There's great breeders that have great pages. I'm not trying to push people away from buying on eBay because I sell Isopods. That's exactly the opposite I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save people from making mistakes that I've had. At least a dozen people or more the last month message me and ask me what they should do. So just some food for thought there. To your point, do you think someone selling rubber duckies for $50 is a scam? If that person is a reputable breeder and they have good rubber duckies and they have great support and they can ensure the health of your rubber duckies and help you through that whole process, what is the value of keeping those dozen rubber duckies alive and breeding? What is the value of that over somebody that just sells you rubber duckies for $20 or $25 a piece and no support, or gives you wrong information and they die within 6 months? So that's my comment on there. Okay, we're going to hide that. Any other questions? Okay, so hopefully that made sense. I'm not going to promote websites. I'm not going to show that.
I can't read your writing.
Okay, it says giveaway. It says right there,
Yeah,
giveaway.
what does it say?
Announce.
You can't read your writing.
It says giveaway. So I don't know what the heck that said. Announce something. So let's do a giveaway. It's, this is going to be for a $50, what is it for? It's for a $50 Supreme Gecko gift certificate. So, and if you know me, if I do a giveaway like this and you order $50 worth of something off of Supreme Gecko, you might just get more than $50. But anyways, so we offered this a week ago, 2 weeks ago on our videos. Type in the word, what was the word? Together. And if you wrote together, you were included. What's that?
Such a fun word.
It is a fun word. So if you wrote the word together in some kind of a sentence, or if you just lazed out and said together, you didn't laze out, everybody's busy. If you did that, you're in the drawing. What did you use? You used a Supreme Isopod chow bag. Wow, that's super cool.
Be creative.
You are creative. That is super cool.
That's all you got today.
Erica, I can't, everybody knows I can't do this without Nanette. And, if it were just me on camera, everybody would have buzzed out of here about 30 minutes ago. You would have given me 3 minutes to find out, is this guy really, this insane or this crazy? But after 3 minutes, you would have said, bail, I'm out of here. And that's the only reason that we're keeping the show going. So, okay, so do we have a winner? Are you going to pick a name? Should I look? Should I not look? I don't know. So you're picking. Oh, everybody can see that. So you have one.
That's fine. They can see
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's what I said. They can see it, but I couldn't.
Okay. We have a long name. It sounds like. So.
Oh, the camera's over there.
Yeah, the camera's. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm hoping that everybody can read this. Hopefully, can you read that? Yeah.
I made it big.
Offie's Spider-Verse. So I don't know which way to go here because I can't tell right from left. Okay, Offie's Spider-Verse. So if you don't know who this is, go to Isobuddy's last video, 2 videos ago. I can't remember yesterday. Go to their video and 2 videos ago, 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, Tuesday. Anyways,
a video a week and a half ago,
and Offie's Spider-Verse was on there with Josh, and just a great listen, great watch. But anyways, 50 bucks. 50 bucks. I didn't say that they have to be present.
Somebody winked.
Oh, somebody winked. Oh, okay.
I have not seen them.
No, I don't. I try not to do that, unless it's something different with the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. I try to just make it fun. And this is a special giveaway. This was because we reached 7,500 subscribers on YouTube. And it's all, I say that in jest, but it's all because of you guys. And I can't be more happy that this channel is getting some momentum, and we're trying to provide information that you guys are liking and subbing and staying with us, and staying an hour and 35 or an hour and 5 minutes here listening to this, putting up with us. So, okay. So we did the winner. Congratulations, Spider-Verse. And next is the $100 giveaway. So if we make 10,000 subscribers, excuse me, 10,000. I can't even say it without choking up. If we reach 10,000 subscribers, we're going to do, and hopefully we will, unless I say something silly and everybody bails on me. But if we reach the 10,000 mark, we're going to give away a $100 gift certificate to Josh's Frogs. $100 gift certificate. So from Josh's Frogs to Josh's Frogs store. $100 gift certificate for us making 10,000 subscribers. I can't even think of that number. When I started a long time ago, but I started back into it 2 years ago, and we were at, I think it was 1,100 or something like that, and to be at 7,500, 76, whatever we're at today. And then maybe this year, sometime in February, March of next year, we might reach 10,000 and be able to do that $100 Josh's Frog giveaway, as well as all these other giveaways that we're doing. Is just, it's beyond me that we can do this. And it's all about giving back to you guys, because you guys support what I love to do, and that's share information and show hopefully pretty pictures of my geckos and my isopods. So thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for staying with us for an hour and 37 minutes and watching this long show. I hope you got, most important, I hope you got your questions answered. If you didn't, if you have other questions that you would like me to answer, send them over in the comments of this video. It's always better to do YouTube kind of questions like this on YouTube. Down the wormhole joined us. Thank you very much. I don't know if you've been here for a while, but
they just got out of work.
Thank you very much for joining us. The last 22 seconds here.
Shannon just got here too.
Shannon, thanks for joining us. Again, if you have questions that I didn't get a chance to answer, if you have questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, leave them in the comments after this show. Again, I want to thank everybody for being a part of this journey and helping us get to 7,500 and stick around. We have some incredible things coming up, incredible things. I really want to thank you again. See you guys.
Good night.
Thank you, Nanette.